You're watching the Better Days podcast with the boys, Danny and Zach. Any guesses where they are today? Enjoy the episode.
Yeah.
Innit?
So, Mr Rhys Sutcliffe.
Mr Zacharus Flaticus.
Yeah, this is our first one-on-one episode.
One-on-one.
Guest and host.
Yeah.
I'd like to have you on. This man here has got some stories. He can talk for days. I think he's the funniest man in North Wales. And at this prime time of 29 minutes past 10 on a Friday night,
Yep.
we've decided to start a podcast.
Fucking right.
Just a chat with me, mate. We're going to have a beer. Have a little discussion of what we're going to talk about before, aren't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
So tell me about yourself. What's your thing, mate? What do you do?
Rafting with my friends.
Rafting with your friends?
Rafting with my friends, kayaking with my friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, following my mates, doing really dumb shit.
Yeah, life on the water.
Yeah, innit? Yeah. I was lucky enough to meet my current friend group, like, just as I started rafting.
Yeah.
And then I've just been following them ever since, doing stupid stuff.
Pretty good.
Like, it's a really, like, fun time. And there's not a lot of consequence to it either. Which is fun. Well, bits and bobs, innit?
Yeah.
You know.
So, how long have you been paddling for?
I reckon we're now going on 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Pretty new into it.
Apparently so.
But you've done some adventures.
Yeah, mate. Been about a little bit. But again, it's just following my mates, isn't it? You know? Because when I started rafting, I was taking the piss out of everyone. I was like, these kayakers are such fucking nerds. Look at them. You know what I mean? And they got no friends. They're all in their own boats. They're all socially awkward. And turns out kayaking is, like, immediately way more fun than rafting. Not that it's more fun.
Yeah,
it's a different kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so I remember my first time in a kayak, it was on the Treweren. And
that's a bold place to start.
well, in it, like, you know, conventionally speaking, people start in, like, the pool and stuff, don't they? But, like, the Treweren is such a amazing place, and that all the guides there, there's such a wide variety of experiences, and kayakers as well. Like, you know, we've got, like, Emmy fucking D, Piranha Pro Paddler, Matt Stevenson, #2 freestyle in the world.
He's a magical man in a boat.
Know? And then there's also some dark horses as well, like Nathan Garnett, you know, like solo expeditionary kayaker extraordinaire. He's like the Gandalf of fucking kayaking.
A little ninja in a boat as well on cafe.
In it. And just everybody, you know, everybody like that. And so, like, one day they were like, Rhys, you should try kayaking. I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, I'll give it a go. And I was sat above Graveyard, and they were like, what do we do now? And Nathan rolled by in his Mamba, and he was like, just send him down to see how far he gets, he'll be all right. And that was it.
How far did you get?
I think body circ and ski jump was I've never seen anybody get body circ and ski jump.
No, that's quite impressive.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's a fucking sick time to watch, to be fair.
I suppose starting kayaking from a rafting background.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to go the other way.
Yeah.
You know? And again, I had no prior experience or knowledge of it. So and I was working in hospitality for years and years and years, and then I was working a job, and I was big up into my mountain biking when I was younger, so I used to compete nationally on the downhill circuit, so I used to go for it, and I knew the guy who ran the Whitewater Centre in Bala.
Right.
And he invited me out to the Mega Avalanche, which if you Google it, it's a fucking trip to watch. It's like, so conventionally speaking, mountain biking races are done on a timed set, so each person will go after each other, the fastest time wins. And the Mega Avalanche is this race, it's a mass start race off a glacier, so you're like shoulder to shoulder with like 500 or so other riders at the top of the snow, and then it's the first one at the bottom wins.
Wow.
And he invited me on this. His name's Paul Bayliss, Bayo. Fucking legend. And I met him, and he invited me out to the Mega Avalanche, and he was, we were chatting more and more, and he was like, you should come work for me out on the Whitewater Centre in North Wales. And then COVID happened.
So that's how you got into the whitewater rafting?
Yeah. He was you know, certain of it. He was like, you will come and work for me. It's like Jedi mind trick. He was like, you will come and work for me. And at that time it was all mountain biking, so I was like, wasn't interested. And then, but hospitality is like, it's a bit of a full-on industry.
It's quite intense.
Yeah, it can be.
The rush.
Yeah, and it's a massive part of the British industry.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of British tourism is dumped into hospitality. So I was just a bit sick of it, and he said, come and work for me. So I went to work for him. I started training during COVID, and then the day I passed my assessment, he moved on to another job. Which I know, innit? Yeah. I was a little bit gutted by, but you know.
He's got you started though, I suppose.
Innit? Well, I credit him for getting me in there.
And
then, yeah, I mean, you know, people, you go on to different things in life. He works for the Fire Six now.
Ah, I see.
Innit? So he's a proper hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I'm just a Raft guy.
Yeah, but you're the people's champion, mate.
Is that what they say about me? I think you'll find I'm more of a hindrance to the champion. They're like, oh, he's coming with us again. Fucking hell.
Funniest man in North Wales, though.
Mate, I don't know who bestowed this title upon me. It's a lot of pressure to hold up to. But really, when you look at it, the humorous side of it is just watching me get into a bit of a pickle.
Yeah,
like,
get into situations.
It could only happen to him.
Exactly.
If anyone's going to get out of it, though, it's probably going to be him.
He's been in so many before.
Ain't it, mate? Yeah. Or, I've never been in as many pickles before in my life. And then I started kayaking. And then shit really got out of hand, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, the problem that sells itself.
Mate, it's fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
It's addicting though, can't stop.
It is good. And you've got yourself a little crew.
I do.
Internationally paddling.
Ain't it, mate? It's, you just meet a bunch of people. Again, I just tagged on to a bunch of trips.
Yeah.
I think I learned how to roll.
Yeah.
I had a semi-consistent roll.
Yeah.
And then I heard a couple of mates of mine were going to India, and I was like, can I come? And they were like,
if we have to.
I just don't swim. Yeah.
It'll be
yeah,
fine.
go on then. And yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then, that was it. In the first year, I think I've been kayaking 6 months, and then I did a trip to Europe with my girlfriend, trying to get her into kayaking, immediately scared her off it.
Do you want to talk about that story?
Well, it's just quite funny, you know, because like my girlfriend's like, when I met her, she was doing a charity event where she was swimming the length of the Maldach Estuary.
Wow.
Down to Barmouth and back, you know, so she's a big cold water swimmer. And so we were getting into that together. She would go up to Scotland and like break the ice and like go and swim out in it. She's a beast, an absolute unit, you know, and that's her thing, you know. And then she was visiting me in the digs for the hotel that I was working at, and she was like, you're fucking miserable, you want to go and do something else, what about this rafting thing? And so I started rafting, and then started kayaking, and then I said to her, we should go and do a kayak trip, because she was thinking of getting into kayaking, and she was like, I reckon I can be better at you. And I was like, well, that won't be hard, because you know,
it's a low bar to beat.
It's a low bar. We'll both be fucking pleased, won't we? You know? And then, we went to Europe, and I'd heard that, like, every British club boat trip abroad, their first one is, like, the Socha and Slovenia. Yeah. So we went there, and we arrived at the Prion Centre where they make all the boats. There's a campsite there. The put-in's on it's on the commercial section of the rafting. Okay. Down to the Boca waterfall.
Right.
Which is really nice. So you can see the waterfall as you're paddling down. And we arrive, and he's like, yeah, great. We haven't had a drop of rain all summer, so everything is dog low. It's still in, so it should be a lovely time for you both. And then that night, it fucking threw it down. And I was insistent. I was like, let's go out. And then we went out the next day, and it was like ridiculously high speed conditions, and it was just, she was like, I'm gonna stay in the car. And this German lad was in the car park, and he's like, are you going boating, because I need a lift? And I was like, well, fucking sweet, that's the shuttle sorted. And then I pulled out of the eddy, watched him go under an undercut, swim out the other side. Really? And then we just we were inseparable after that. We just tag teamed the rest of the trip, me and this German guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I suppose that brings you a bit closer.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So
really
that's 6
close.
months into paddling.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
That's
yeah,
pretty insane. So
like
most
roughly.
people stick around the UK for a few years
Yeah.
and then head out to maybe Europe.
I think part of it was that I wanted to be on the same level that all of my mates were, which was an unrealistic.
I suppose you're trying to play
Venture.
catch up on it.
It was very unrealistic at the time because, again, like Matty Stevenson's like number 2 in the world for freestyle.
Yeah.
And I was like, I might have a shot.
Maybe I can be number 3 or 4.
Maybe number 10 or 12.
Yeah. He's an insane paddler and one of the nicest people ever.
What's really nice about what connects you in these friendship groups is that he was asking me, like, he was like, oh, man, I'm like thinking of doing a paddling trip on my own somewhere. Where do I go? And I was just blagging about how awesome my India trip was. And so he just went and did it solo. Yeah, he was just like, yeah, I've booked my tickets, I'm going there. And he just like rocked up to the Ganga for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
He did the Bhagirati section, which is like the upper Ganga into the Ganga. Came back and was like, yeah, and took a bunch of photos of places that I'd been. He's like, there we are, you know. And it's really nice when that happens, you know. And he was just going off of good faith that I said it was a blast.
Yeah,
And
led off your information.
yeah, and I was only doing that because somebody showed me the way.
Yeah, that's
know?
true.
You know, so when I went, it was because, I heard that there were a couple of guys going, and I was like, I want to go, can I come with you?
Yeah.
And then they were gracious enough to let me go with them.
That's insane.
Isn't it, mate?
I need to take a leaf out of your book and get out of this country.
Mate, do you know, like, my first overnighter in a boat was in India.
Really? I suppose it's quite hard to do in the UK, that.
You could do it on the D.
But you could. You can make a long lap, but we don't have particularly long rivers.
Well, mate, I mean, I've made a D lap last, like, 6 hours.
I know, yeah. I was shocked how long it
Paddled
took
past
you.
you, yeah. You're still here.
Yeah.
This is like the thing with starting out, though, is that like you have to go on good faith that there are going to be people who will look after you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a lot that's a lot to ask.
It's
of
a big
somebody.
ask. Yeah,
It's a big ask, especially somebody who's used to being on it, looking after themselves.
Exactly.
I think because you have to be, when you start kayaking and you start pushing yourself to another level, you know, you have to be within a competent ability to look after yourself. If you get like separated or like whatever the case may be. And I didn't have a great role, but they saw that I was susceptible to taking a shit kicking and being fine with it. Like I had some massive fucking beatdowns when I started. Yeah, big ones. And it was just like the worst thing that could possibly happen is like, oh yeah, there he is. He's going for it. You know? And I just had some really amazing people around me. Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
But it is a big ask.
It is.
I found out in America that they don't, they've got like the suing culture. And someone told me if there's a rescue situation that needs to be dealt with, people don't join in.
No.
Because if you just join in, help out a little bit, you've got to finish it. And if you don't, then you're liable to whatever happens to them.
I mean, there's when you start going into like the whitewater safety side of things, and when you start rafting, you will naturally go through that aspect of it where you have to be mandated, you have to have a level you have to go through the curriculum, you have to do X, Y, and Z, you have to be able to flip a raft, you have to be able to bag a person, you have to be able to bag 2 people, all of that, you know. And kayaking's amazing for the weekend warrior side of it, you know, but it's one of those things that I think that if you want to pursue it to a level where you want to constantly be getting better, because whenever I've started something, I've become hyper-focused. Usually because it's the hype of starting something new. Yeah. But if you take to it, surely your mindset should be, I want to get as best as I can.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to hold a candle up to anybody else's level, because we all know there are fucking amazing kayakers out there.
Yeah.
But to be able to hang out with them, it's like, if I want to go and paddle the Glaslyn with Matty Stevenson, I need to be able to roll. for example.
Yeah,
You know,
so you the best Rhys you can.
Yeah, and like I just surrounded myself with those people. They just like invited that, and they just emphasized it. They were like, you should go for it and be as good as you can. And if you do fucking swim, hopefully we'll come and get you.
Yeah, you think they've got your back.
And they do. They do.
Yeah.
Everybody I've paddled with, none of them have left me hanging.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you're not going to get invited or accepted if you're too much of a liability. So.
Also being on the receiving end of somebody telling you no, I think is important. I had my first instance of this when I did a trip to India. I was there for 3 months. I did that, came back, and we were looking at running the Glen Affric, because it doesn't come in often up in Scotland. And we were in the planning stage of it. We were going to take ropes with us in case we needed to get out and stuff like this. And I was paddling with somebody, and they were like, with all due respect, I haven't paddled consistent, or what they would consider consistent class 5 with me.
Yeah.
And they had with the other person in the group. So if it's going to go, I'm not sure I'm entirely comfortable with taking you down it.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of pill to swallow, but going through the route of, you know, doing all these mandatory safety courses and that, I know that if I were in that position, having to be that guy, I would say the same thing.
Exactly.
So,
he's not doing it to be a dickhead and boost his ego and put yours down. It's like a safety-friendly aspect.
And it's also like, if you're running something new, you want to know for certain that you can do it. In a way, you don't want anything compromising that necessarily, or holding you back. And a weak link in the group could jeopardize that.
Yeah, knowing your crew, knowing your team.
Exactly, yeah. And I like to think that the guys I've paddled with, they've seen me from like, you know, day one.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've got a good perspective of whether or not I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been, you know, lucky enough to paddle with people who have been gracious enough to take a chance and be like, it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
Because it is a risk.
It's always a risk getting on the water, isn't it?
Innit?
We all know that.
Innit, mate? Even no matter where you are, there is an inevitable amount of risk that is attached to doing this.
Yeah.
And I think that a few things have happened recently that have been a real blow, and it's made us realise,
I think there's been a few big incidents that have really been a big eye-opener on the whole community, not just the people that are closely connected.
Yeah, and not even in a funny kind of cliche way. It has a ripple effect, man.
100%.
It affects everyone.
Yeah. So I imagine what you're talking about is, so today is the 1 year.
It is.
Loss of Bren Orton.
How quickly that year has come around.
It's been a big year. But that, I think, obviously, it's not the first kayaker that we've lost, but it has had a huge effect on boating. And I do think a lot of people are stepping back or not pushing as hard as they were before because of this incident.
Yeah.
And that's the ripple effect you're talking about.
Innit? I remember, you know, I learned how to ride a bike before I could walk.
Okay.
And so I was riding downhill from 5 or 6 years old. And then I was trying to get good and then competing from when I was 10.
Yeah.
All the way up until I was 18. And I was really going for it in the UK circuit. I was trying to get out to the European rounds as well. And it was about training all the time. And I had loads of fun. And I like to think I did as best as I can. And I won a few seconds, you know, top 10s, and I was really pleased. But I kept on having these, with, you know, mountain biking, you're going 100 miles an hour through the woods and everything's trying to kill you. Exactly. So it fucking really hurts when you fall off, you know. And I stacked up a massive run of injuries. I go to my surgeon every year in Brongleis in Aberystwyth in the hospital. We just do just a survey.
A little MOT.
Yeah, a little MOT. And I was there last year, and I was so, you know, you've got all of my records, what am I up to now? And he's like, well, when you get to a certain point after breaking so many bones, we just put a plus on the end of it. And I'm at 75 plus.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, you know, it's one thing to know that the risk is that of injury.
Yeah.
But to know that the risk then is of potential fatality.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up, you know, in mountain biking, there were certain figureheads within mountain biking that were the epitome of high quality performance, the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know, and when I started kayaking, obviously, you know, like you type in kayaking videos on YouTube, by UK videos and boaters, Brand's probably there.
Yeah.
On all of them.
Exactly.
So I knew who he was, and I knew his status almost within the community.
Yeah.
As the best UK boater of all time.
Yeah.
Probably.
100%.
You know?
And just as a nice person.
In it. And what I really liked about it is, you know, after doing India, I was like, expeditionary kayaking is my jam.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do. And I love the way that he'd come into it through the professional performance side and the freestyle, and then really found his calling in the exploratory side of it.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember the day we got the news, and my friend came up to me and he says, "Have you heard?" And I'm like, "No, what's up?" And he's like, "Bren's disappeared." And instantly knowing what that meant, you know, and I'd actually met him a couple of like months beforehand, and we just ended up surfing on Cafe Wave at the T together.
Really?
Yeah, it was just nothing really, like we weren't there together. David Bain introduced me to him.
Okay.
I was just getting ready, just having a cup of coffee, so were they. And man, like I knew who he was. And immediately, I've never necessarily been shy of people, right?
Someone.
But immediately I was like, oh man, this is fucking Bren Orton, man. Like this, you know, this is the guy, the man, the champ, you know? And immediately I was like, oh man, I better not say fucking something stupid. And he just started chatting to me and just made it all seamless and was just really nice and just asked me about kayaking and, you know, and I was like, I'm going to get on Cafe. He was like, sweet, so are we. And, you know, that was the most of the interaction we had, you know, and it was awesome. And I remember the day my mate came to me and he was like, yeah, he's disappeared.
Yeah.
And my heart just fucking broke.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really know him. Do you know what I mean?
It was exact same. I think there's a lot of people that don't know him personally. I didn't know him personally. Most people are not going to know him personally, but because seeing his videos and his was about socially at events, I think there's a personal connection to it.
Yeah, I tell you what, he was
the people's man.
Yeah,
definitely
working class hero.
100%.
Absolutely, and it was one of those like he said it's like he's disappeared, and neither of us could speak.
Exactly. And
the first thing I thought was, I really wish I talked to him for that little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hindsight though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And it's just, it's one of those, it's such a, on the other hand, it's such a beautiful thing, you know, in that, like, you've really seen how that ripple has run through the community.
People have listened to the message.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think people are looking at that, not necessarily as an example, but a reminder that that is the danger of kayaking. And a lot of people I know have readjusted their way of paddling to a more informative, safer approach. Not to say that he wasn't at all, because mistakes happen and that's just how it is when you run the gauntlet.
Yeah, but you're dealing with the environment and it's going to win.
Yeah, innit? Yeah, the water always wins, isn't it?
Exactly.
So, I think that knowing that it's a year is like, man, that came around really quickly.
Yeah.
Really quickly. It feels like yesterday.
It does. Yes, wasn't great news. I had a point to say, but I mean, my thoughts at the minute.
Well, it's such a lot to take on.
It is,
Because I remember I was like, after the dust settled between my friend and I was like, but he was the best, bro.
That's the point. So
He was the best.
We all know that this sport is dangerous, and we all know the impact of the water, the moving water, the rocks, the trees, the siphons, the undercuts, whatever.
Yep.
And we know that things could happen to you, me, and our friends. But I always subconsciously thought these professionals that it can't happen to them.
It wouldn't happen to them. Yeah.
That they're invincible.
Yeah.
It's a stupid thing to think, but it's. That's
you think they're untouchable.
Exactly.
They're almost like the gods of the... Do you know what I mean?
Pioneers of the sport.
In it.
But when they get taken, it's a big hit, especially on us that are at a lower level.
It's a bit of pill, isn't it?
It's
especially when you're just getting into it and you think sky's the limit, and you haven't experienced that risk fully.
Or if you haven't been humbled in a while,
Innit?
And you feel you're a little bit better.
Yeah.
Good old humbling.
Innit, mate?
A regular humbling is...
Do you remember your first humbling?
I do. Yeah. So I haven't done a lot of paddling overall. I haven't been internationally, but I've paddled a lot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I first started, it was at like centres and things, which is just great for training, but not great on the ego and the confidence. You think everything's fine.
Yeah.
I remember I swam on the Morriston on Sticky Hole.
Yeah,
I got walloped in there. Had up a fight for ages and got tired and went deep and dark. And it was fine. My friend bagged me.
Yeah.
It was all good, but it was a really I thought I was better than this. This has really scared me.
I think there's two levels to it.
Yeah.
Personally, I think you get that experience when you're like, I shouldn't have swum there.
Yeah.
But then you also get that instance where you're like, fucking hell, that was close.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't close as in I wasn't pinned on anything. I wasn't stuck. I was underwater more than I wanted. I'd never been... I wanted to breathe, and I was underwater. I was deeper than I thought. So it wasn't a big instance, but it's all relative to the person.
It is, especially if that's your first one.
Exactly.
Because I went from like...
Where was yours?
Oh, man. Like, I still think that it's like my first biggest one, but that was probably because the magnitude of it was... At the time, it was fucking huge.
Yeah.
And so I'd been to India. I did the entire trip, and I was stoked as well because, like, getting ready for it, I was asking Nathan, who was spearheading the trip, and I was like, "What boat are you boys going in?" And he was paddling, you know, the new Exos.
Yeah.
He's paddling the Creaker, and then Brendan was paddling the Steez, and he was like, "I think Brendan's being." I think he's a bit excited. He's taking the half slice, that sort of thing. And he said it'd be brilliant on the Ganga, which is the local run. It's like class 3 to 4, but it's just fucking ginormous. It's massive. And he was like, it'd be brilliant on the Ganga. And I had a Ripper and a Gangster at the time. And I was like, I took the Ripper.
Really?
Right. And
or Expedition Kayaker?
Yeah, man.
The half slice?
Yeah.
What size Ripper?
Medium.
Right, cool.
Well, yeah, because this was funny, because also I was looking at Bren's video of when they went and did all the stuff in Meghalaya region.
Yeah.
And when I arrived in Uttarakhand, which is the Himalaya range, and everybody was like, there was a group of local paddlers going down to run the Meghalaya stuff, and that was jungle boating, you know, and it was like class 4 to 5, and it was my first instance of seeing that in the broader media, in videos and stuff like this. And I was like, oh yeah, no, that's a bit of me. I'd like to have a go at that. And anyway, I was like asking him, I was like, what boat should I take? And he was like, the Ganga will be really good in the Ripper.
Yeah.
Everybody will want your boat. You'll want to take the Ripper to the Ganga.
Okay.
But that wasn't the approval of taking a half slice on the expeditionary stuff. So I showed up for the expeditionary stuff in a half slice. And we were writing up our kit lists, and it was me, Nathan, and Brendan. And my kit list was pretty much identical to them, maybe 1 or 2 items short, but essentially it was like 12 or 13 different things. And I remember Nathan took the list, he ripped it in half and gave half of it to Brendan and said, we're carrying his kit.
Well, you brought half a boat with you.
Because I brought half a boat. So in the back of my Ripper, I had my bivvy, my sleeping bag, clothes, and snacks.
Really?
And then...
It's a bit of weight and a half slice.
Yeah, mate. it paddles like a 9R when it's fully weighted.
Does it though?
Mate, yes, absolutely. It's a beast. It just smashes through, subs everything, goes underneath it all. Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
So what was the first humbling experience?
I thought it was India. I managed the entire trip without a swim. And then we were going for our second go of the Alkananda.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing documentary you can watch on YouTube of Hillary running an expedition up the Ganges. So he takes power boats, see the source in monsoon season. In monsoon.
Yeah.
Like 2 of his crew have never been in power. They've never driven a boat before.
Really?
He's like, I'm going to see how far I can get, and then I'm going to, climb a mountain. Try and get to the source of the Ganges if I can. That's his plan, yeah? And Nathan showed us this dock, and he was like, yeah, I want to paddle this river. It's the Alkananda that runs in the Ganges. He's like, I want to paddle it. And there's this, like, river-wide 20-foot depth shelf.
Right.
Like halfway down the river. Yeah, but we don't know where it is. He's like, we're going to run that. I hadn't put together that this was in monsoon season. I said yes, and I thought we were going to die. I was like convinced.
Really?
We got there, bro, and it was like a trickle. It was probably like, it's not even the rooster tail at Town Falls. It's tiny drop. It's weird to see these things in different perspective. In monsoon, it was fucking massive.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're floating down it, and this is sweet. We're going to come back and do a second trip, minimal kit,
Make it a bit more playful.
Yeah, a little bit, and got to it like the bottom half gets really wide as it peters out, and floating down, and Nathan's like, Rhys, you should lead, and I'm like, yeah, sick, and I'm just like, this rapid, I remember him saying, just go to the right, don't go anywhere else, just go to the right.
Yeah.
What's not to like? Just go to the right. And there were loads of these booths going down the middle, so I just kept on going down the middle, and they were shouting at me. They were like, come back, not that way, don't go that way. And I just boofed into this massive hole, and like it was just shallow enough still to hit my head, so I over hit my head, lost the paddle, whatever. And then Brendan floats right by me. I pull my deck, grab onto his boat, and then like float into the eddy. And I was like, yeah, first shit kick in.
Yeah.
I was a bit gutted. And then I went to Ecuador the season after. So I came back from India, did the rafting season, and then went to Ecuador with my mate Zach. And like day one, just got absolutely destroyed.
Really?
Yeah, probably like the worst shit kicking I've ever had. Yeah,
wow. What happened there?
Yeah, it was just fucking around and just being a kook, mate.
Really?
Yeah. Just like, Zach had been, and he was like, this is the best place ever. Steep, creaky, freaky kind of stuff. Quite technical, really hard. And
he's an incredible boater.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like, again, Zach was one of the people who was there from day one as well. So, like, I remember, day one. First double date was me and my partner, and Zach was teaching us how to hand roll.
Really?
Yeah. No, it was just like, an awesome guy, but has paddled for like 12, 13 years.
Quite a high level.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
100%.
like his dad retired so that he could drive him around and take him paddling.
Really?
Yeah, just go to all the freestyle stuff. And he went to like the Ottawa kids camp, kayaked in Ottawa, did all this shit. And we arrived, and it was, mate, Ecuador's a fucking party, man.
Yeah?
It's so much fun. Ecuador's so fucking cool.
You recommend it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. It's just, everybody's so nice. The main river, the Quijos Valley in Baeza, is about an hour from the airport, and it's like alpine jungle run.
Yep.
5 or 6 sections of the Quijos that you could do. Or like, really hard, really technical, really chossy, boulder garden, siphon nightmare. Really? Everywhere, And like things in the Baeza Valley, when you look at them, they're like ugly. You're like, I don't want to go there. But it's just such high quality technical paddling, that it's just like it's all, you feel like a beast when you're paddling in Ecuador.
Yeah?
When you land it and everything goes well, you feel...
Yeah, you've made that work.
Yeah. And it was just the local section, like the big water section in the valley. And it was just following everybody down. I actually bumped into Todd Wells, the guy who...
Really?
Yeah. So Todd Wells had run an expedition down there, paddling. What's the name of the river, man? What's the section they paddle? That Galen kid, he paddles it with Galen.
I don't know the section.
Anyway, yeah, it's an NRS video, right? So it's this,
Right.
Oh man, what you're talking about it, and it just just leaps out of your head. Come on, what's the name?
That'll come back to you.
It'll come back to me. Yeah, and so he's just there with his lady, and he's like, I come here all the time. It's like the best place in the world to paddle. And it's like a direct flight from the US. He's like, and there's a big group of us go out. The hostels are sick because they just, anybody going to Ecuador, you got to go in and see Mama Gina. You got to go see Mama Gina, in Gina's, and you got to stay at the hostel because they knew very early on. They were like,
is this where the haircut came
yeah.
from? Trying to cut on your haircut story.
Yeah, mate. Fuck.
So I only found out the story about
this is
half an hour ago.
I watched the vet. Basically,
what was the bet?
Okay, right. So you show up, and Don Vice, he's this big, colossal dude who runs the hostel, right? And he walks into the bar. You get walked into the bar. You start drinking tequila, and you start drinking. Everybody's like, "Yeah, cool. This is it. This is where you're gonna be staying." Everybody's lovely. Don Vice comes in and with this big old machete, and he explains that it's your first day here, so you're gonna play a drinking game.
Okay, I'll see. Sets the mood. Sets the tone.
Sets the mood. Sets the tone. So the idea is that he lines up 5 shots. He gives you a name, and each shot is the different sections of the key house, right?
Yes.
So you've got Casa de Queso, Cheese House. You've got Chaco Bonbon, and then you've also got the tribs around it, like the Oyakachi and stuff like this. Anyway, he goes through the line, and Nathan had also been to Ecuador. So my second trip, I was like, Nathan knows where it's good to go. Where should I go? Ecuador. And then Zach had already been, and he was like, I agree, you should come with us. Anyway, he says, you memorize these names, right? Because, for each river you get wrong, you take the shot. You could be there for hours.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's like, just remember these names and you'll be sweet. So I memorized the names and I got there, right? And Don Vice, he's like he's a slippery guy, man. He knows what he does. He'll deny it. Not that I'll know for certain because my Spanish will never be that good. But, if I asked him in English, I know for a fact, right? I get there, right? I'm like expecting Chaco.
Yeah, exactly.
Expecting that first shot. Chaco, and he just fucking changes the name, bro.
He plays you.
He just plays you. And that was it. And so 2 shots down, and he's like, right, okay, we cut your hair now. And I was like, what? And I sat down, and he just grabs a bunch of your hair and then just starts sawing away at it with the machete, and that was it. Yeah. And then I ended up with this really, really cool lesbian bob sort of thing. Yeah. It was very flattering. Yeah. And day one, mate.
Yeah.
Bit of a shock.
Starts the trip well.
It does, man. It was it was just, it's such a party in Ecuador, man, that it's just it's just good fun. Yeah. I really enjoyed being there, and it was really awesome. But that first day, there was that section where, big group of us went out. Todd Wells was there, and we got to it. And it's called Toro, the bull. Okay. And it's just, and we were stood there looking at it. He's like, brilliant, what you do, is you avoid all this shit on the right, go out to the left. There's a big lateral there. Punch through the lateral, start making your way back over the right, avoid the big hole at the bottom.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, nice and simple.
Left to right.
Left to right, yeah. And that lateral halfway down, tiny lateral coming from river left, it connected to this big shelf on river right that was I want to say 3/4 the width of the river.
What do you mean by shelf?
Well, let's say,
like
big old pour over, like a shelf, you know. But easily 10 foot tall, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, just because of how steep the river goes.
Yeah.
You know, you just lose that gradient. If there's a boulder in the river, you're going right over the boulder and then to the bottom, right? And so it created this massive pour over that connected with that lateral over on River Left. And as I was paddling through, I decided that I was going at the back, you know.
Okay.
You know, because I love sweeping, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, the sweeping's good fun. And I was like, yeah, I'll go at the
see
back.
everyone else.
And there's like 10 or 12 of us all in the line, and we go down, and I'm the last one down. And as I go through the lateral, I just put just paddling forwards, I just put a left stroke in. And I just surf all the way along it. And started getting like trashed in the pour over, right? And the boat's throwing ends, and I've never been thrown around like that before.
Really?
I had a couple of times in India just for the sheer amount of volume, but nothing...
Ends on ends.
Yeah, nothing that powerful vertically over a short distance, you know?
It's a strange feeling in a big volume boat.
In it. And like, you know, I bought a Steez, and like I've been paddling this boat all spring, and I was like, I'm going to send it in this thing, you know? And immediately the tail caught.
Yep.
You know, and it was just trashing me, just throwing me up in the air and shit. And it was like really violent. I couldn't get a handle on where I was, and I lost my paddles, and then I started panicking, you know, because I couldn't breathe, I couldn't see. And so, you know, I ran out of breath, and I pulled my deck, and I popped up, and I was getting trashed by this pour over, and I'd come up, and when I popped up, I'd be underneath this massive boulder, and all the water was going under the boulder, and I'd have to scrap up the side of it, you know,
Really?
follow the recirculating path of the water.
Undercut?
Yeah. You know, it was massive. It was like the size of a bus. It was huge.
Wow.
You know, you could see where it was all going. It was all going under this, like, boulder and just going across the river into the centre of the river. It just looked really gnarly. And I would come up under it, following the recirculating path of the water. It went around and around, you know, just in a circle. And it kind of like, I would like kind of follow it and get out of it, manage to like push myself out of it. But then I just go around in a circle, and I get trashed in the hole again, you know?
Because of the research.
Yeah, and I'd keep going round and around and around, and I saw out to like River Right, there was a pathway in amongst a bunch of boulders I could like swim through, and I would like go for it, but I just couldn't get there
Because of the towback.
Yeah, and I just kept on going round and round and round, and I was in there for like 2 minutes, like
That's
3 minutes, just going round and round and round. And I was like getting tired and running out of air, and I was panicking, and I was like,
as you would.
in it, and I was like, everybody's gone, where is everyone?
Just sweeping at the back.
And yeah, and there was, and then like I saw like Todd running up the bank, you know, and like, especially when he got me out, I was looking downstream, and I was looking at where everybody was, right, and Todd was the only one on River Right.
Yeah.
And he was right at the front of the group as well. So, like, everybody had eddied out River Left. And there was one last eddy on the right. When I guess he must have, like, seen that I was getting battered, peeled off from the group, caught that eddy. He was the only one who got it. And the eddy on River Left is, like, miles away as well. So, like, I guess he must have, like, saw or sensed that, like...
Yeah,
something was up, and then he ran up the bank, and as soon as he arrived, I saw him grab his bag, and I just threw my hands up, and I was like, yes, man,
ready to catch.
Bring it in. And it hit me in the chest, and I was like, beautiful.
What a shot.
You know, and just, yeah, and he pulled me out, and I was like hyperventilating, and I was like seeing spots, and it was like savage.
It's a lot of work for a lack of oxygen.
Yeah, innit? It was terrifying. And he was...
scary place, the water.
It is, mate. It is. And I think that's the reminder, isn't it? You know?
Yeah.
You can't...
I think there's a line in every sport where you've got life on one side, death on the other, in the middle.
I think...
But we're pretty close to that line.
We are. And I think it's constant through all sports as well, in that, you know, like, again, I grew up on mountain biking, and there was this one mountain biker, he was the people's champ.
Yeah.
Very much like Brendan. He was a Canadian guy, and his name's Stevie Smith, Mr Chainsaw, we used to call him.
Oh, okay.
And he was the people's champ.
Yeah.
And he did what Brendan did, basically. He just started, like, winning everything, and he was doing really well. And he was out on his trails bike, you know, which is inherently a slower discipline to motocross or downhill mountain biking. It's all about balance and hopping between obstacles and that. And he just flipped the bike and landed on his head and died.
Really?
And that was it, you know? And he was gone. And it's like...
It's just like that. And
just, it's so quick, and it doesn't discriminate.
that is true, yeah. It's probably the fairest thing in life.
Yeah.
It's funny, I was talking to a friend about that, how good the highs are of this sport, how close it brings you to your friends, and the things you get to see, the beautiful places that you've especially seen. We'll dive onto that in a minute. But then how low the lows are of losing friends and seeing horrific things. Why do we still do it?
In it, I think that it's such a tough thing as well, because I think that everybody I've met who paddles really loves paddling.
Yeah.
And I think that that's inherently what makes the sport so easy to go and do.
And probably why the community's so good.
Everybody, I haven't met a single person. I've met one person I despise.
Okay.
I will say
We'll keep their name quiet.
But it doesn't matter. That's all, you know, whatever. You know, like everybody just really enjoys it at whatever level.
Yeah.
And what's really nice as well is that all levels can meet. And enjoy it together.
Yeah.
Like,
and the higher up levels can enjoy the lower levels.
Innit? I think one of my favourite, kayaking trips was Falls of Laura trip. I did
up in Scotland.
Yeah, I did a week at the Falls of Laura.
Yeah. That's my favourite kayaking memory, isn't the Falls of Laura?
Isn't it?
I will die on that memory.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's just, it's like, you know, it's one of those bucket list things for kayaking. You're not a kayaker unless you've done the Falls of Laura. No. I mean, you are, but, you know, but still, you know.
It's like a secret that's not a secret.
Isn't it? And I met so many amazing people of all different disciplines.
Yeah.
Discovered surfboating. Mate,
it's an art form.
Mate, soon as I get the money to buy the most expensive carbon surfboat, I'm buying it, bro. You know, the Ka-Chow, I'm buying one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's such
Sam
a cool.
speaks so highly of that boat.
Mate, these boats are insane as well. And it's like, I grew up with my dad surfing as well.
Yeah.
So I've always appreciated the understanding of being able to surf a wave.
Yeah.
Being able to sit on that curvature.
So it's a pretty mad feeling. My mum never understands it. Shout out to me, mum.
Shout out to all mums.
Yeah, all mums.
Yeah, who run the world?
But exactly. But because you're like a river wave, like the Falls of Laura is a standing wave in the middle of the estuary. It's kind of like a hill. You're going down the hill as the water's coming up the hill. And you're kind of just chilling out halfway down. But it's a mad thing to try and explain to people that don't understand how you're not moving on such a fast river.
I think surfing, if you've surfed a little bit, you'll sort of understand it. Yeah. And I showed up there and there were all these the local scene up there, man.
It's very close-knit, very tight.
And there's such amazing, some of them are fucking proper athletes as well, you know, and they just get after it, and it's such a culture that
a lot of people don't know about these people.
Yeah, it is.
If you know them, you know them.
If you know them, you're in.
But if you don't,
they make you feel so warm and welcome as well. You know?
And that's a Scottish thing.
Innit? I think the Scots are really nice.
I went up for a week, and I was promised by a friend. It was about 10, 12 degrees in the UK. It was a bit grim, grey. I went for a week trip to the Falls of Laura, and I was promised by a Scot that it'd be 20 degrees, it'd be shorty keg weather, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll bring my dry suit. Get there, it's completely right. It was sun, had a week of sun on the Falls of Laura, and red tides and a black all week. Got my first flood. Have you done the flood tide?
Mate,
I watched the boys do it for the first time. An hour and a half. And it was a pleasure to watch them.
That was the only instance where I haven't had the boat and I haven't regretted just going to watch it.
Yeah, it was so good.
Because I had a netty mission and a jive.
Yeah, that's a stretch to get out on that.
It is a stretch. Main wave is fucking terrifying in a boat that small as well.
And it's changed as well.
It has changed apparently.
It's quite pity, it looks like.
I've been to two, and visibly it was different.
Really?
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, the second time I went was last September, and the locals were saying that's the biggest black tide they've seen in like 20 years.
Really?
It was huge, bro. It was like, I was looking at it, I remember the sheer size of it in India,
Yeah.
and it was very similar.
It's the strongest water I've felt.
Yeah.
Like the whirlpools,
Yeah.
the seam lines,
Yeah.
the eddy line, the
Yeah.
actual eddy line, how it's like a boat's length thick.
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah,
people talk
yeah.
about an eddy line, it's like a foot.
Yeah.
And don't stay on that eddy
Yeah.
line. Here is like, it will have 3 boats on that eddy line.
It's mad. It's such a powerful place.
Yeah. So that's a humbling place.
Yeah, yeah.
That will humble anyone.
Yeah,
doesn't matter
yeah,
how
yeah.
good you
Fucking
are.
right. Yeah,
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 that's...
yeah. In it, that's a different kind of paddling as well. In that, you know, it's deep. There's nothing underwater. You're not going to hit your head or anything.
There's a few bits.
I mean, oh
By the
well.
bridge tension, that's quite sharp.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, you do. Yeah, you got me there.
Yeah. That is my kayaking moment, my best moment of my life. I was surfing a flood tide with my mate Jack. We'll get you on the podcast, Jack.
Yeah.
It took me
Go, Jack.
5 attempts to ferry onto this.
Yeah.
And on the 4th one, he was on it in his surf boat. I was in the slalom boat that I was borrowing. And he was like lining me up to drop into this pocket.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
was shouting something like, go right, go right. And I just went left and took us both off this wave.
Fuck.
And the 5th one, we got it on for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We had a little speaker on his buoyancy aid.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
little tunes, having a chat. I had a can of Guinness, he had a can of cider.
mate. Yeah.
Yeah, He was in a back surf, I was in a front
Yeah,
surf.
yeah.
It was, you couldn't ride it. It was
No,
great.
you couldn't. No.
I will remember that day.
In it.
Forever and ever.
I was up there last September, and I was on Forever Waving the Jive, and I was just putting these massive calves in, and just sprinting along the way.
Forever's the top one, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was just like, fucking going for it. And I like pulled to the right, and I look over my shoulder, and this speedboat has just pulled onto the wave.
Really?
And he's just surfing alongside me. And it's like, yeah, man, yeah, come on. Yeah. No, man, it's such a cool place, man. A lot of, just, really special.
I don't know if we should be talking about it, because some people do not like it being filmed.
It's a bit of gatekeeping going on about it,
is.
isn't it? I appreciate the reasons for, like, I went there, right?
Yeah.
And I was very chill, very, kind of a little bit quiet. I was,
Don't want to stand out.
don't want to stand out too much, that kind of thing. So what do I do?
Just keep talking, mate. I'm just going to check the camera. I'm a bit scared
Do it,
of
mate.
this awesome conversation. But I can still hear you, so we're all good.
Well, that's good, eh? Take it for a little walk, eh?
Yeah, just see if this is still recording, mate.
Yeah. Hopefully so.
Mate, we're still recording.
Thank goodness. Can you imagine if we'd been sat here? This would be all for
Let's
nothing.
start again at 11 o'clock. We're all good.
Where were we?
But that's how professional we are, really.
Innit?
That's the standard that we work
Mate,
at.
I don't know anybody with like in-ear monitors in the car park.
No, we're not even. So that's another thing. We haven't. When we usually start these podcasts, we go, look at our pretty background. Where are we? Have a guess. You're not going to have a clue where we are
No,
because it's
no.
pitch black.
It's top secret where we are as well. Actually, we're not allowed to talk about it.
but-
It's this really famous paddling spot in the UK.
It is. That's very true.
Yeah, to be fair, everybody goes there.
But we've got a bit of water to the left of us. You might be able to hear it, pick up the audio. What are the
Apparently,
clues?
there's like there's a scientific definition for the trance you enter when you look at running water for a certain amount of time.
Is
You
there?
can look at running water for like 2 minutes or
Whatever
I'm not
the
an
number
expert,
is.
however
Yeah.
long it is, right? And then your mind will enter a state of calm. And what it is, it's the repetitive motion of the water.
Of the movement.
Yeah, you're just looking at it and your brain enters this trance state where everything just kind of chills out. You relax a little bit. There is a term
That is
for it.
interesting. I learned on our last podcast we filmed, Izzy was saying that the colour green has a positive impact
Yep.
on, like, being outside in a green place makes you happier.
Yeah.
She was saying her bedroom's green. It's got plants and things. And that's another fact I didn't know.
Innit? Which is all the more reason for, like, that supports that being outside is good for you.
Yeah, that's something me and Danny bang on a lot
Yeah.
about this podcast.
Yeah.
I think every single episode we've banged on about the joys of being outside.
Yeah.
I probably have to stop talking about it soon because everyone that we're going to have on this podcast is an outside person,
Innit?
but we are lucky to get this. Well, what we got here, mate?
Got a little bit of chocolate, mate.
Bit of white chocolate.
A little bit, mate.
Like, this is the... We are professional.
Oh, mate.
We got some ASMR on the microphones as well. Thank you, mate.
You want
Bagging. But no, something I like to speak to people is, we'll get that munch on the microphone.
In it.
Is how you ground yourself. Obviously, you've been on some big trips. You've been on some, probably been some bit nervous. I would like to ground myself by knowing where I am.
Yeah.
How cold's the water? What can I hear? What can I hear? See? What can I smell? How do you ground yourself?
Don't know, mate.
No?
No, I think it's one of those. I think it being out on water settles me, relaxes me.
Okay.
You know, I think that after my last trip, I have had, Zach and I talk about this all the time, that when I was learning how to kayak, I was watching all of my mates paddle class 4 and 5. And I was like, yeah, I just want to go. And I didn't necessarily understand the risks of what could happen if it went wrong. Yeah. And so after Ecuador, I would like get to everything. I'd get out, I'd look at it, I'd really have a think about if it's worth it.
Yeah.
Running it in the context of the river as well is like, you could have something really sick at the top, you could have this really amazing rapid, but
the consequence at the bottom.
In it, what happens if I swim here? You know, how will that affect the trip? You know, is it worth walking if the rest of it is so much better?
I suppose, are we going to lose kit? That's what
in it as well, you know. And so I like made a really active effort of, you know, looking at everything, stopping. Yeah. Even if it was something that, you know, when you pull over and you're like, there's no reason to stop, I can just check over my shoulder and it's fine.
Yeah, you read and run.
Yeah, read and run, innit? And it's just knowing that I could easily get into a situation way worse than that last one, you know, because the last one sucked really badly. And so knowing that all it takes is just being a little bit reserved and just being like, I'm going to go have a look at this.
Yeah, but I think that's, you've learnt from mistakes.
Yeah.
You're trying to look after yourself.
I think that, you know, now I'm at the reflective point of when I look back on that swim. You know, it was really gnarly. It was quite scary. I'm at that point now where it's not necessarily so much a worry anymore, because like I really struggled with afterwards. I was like,
scared getting back in the boat.
I mean, a little bit more so. I was like, you know, when I got back in the boat, it was on stuff like this at home, and I run like the local runs as well, and they're all good fun, and some of them are like, you know, a bit harder, you know, like you have to really be paddling well, you know. And like afterwards I would remember the swim, and it would kind of unsettle me a little bit, you know, kind of like make me on edge, and it's more so worrying that I need to be in a better position to deal with it should it happen again in the future, because there's always a risk of it happening again in the future.
That's a very good mindset of I've had my bad swim, it's not going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's nice.
In it.
Thinking ahead.
In it. I think in a oddly positively negative way, because you're like, it could get a lot worse.
Yeah, that's very true.
It could get a lot worse. And in that moment, I think because I hadn't had such a bad swim before, I had no frame of reference, and so when I realised it was going wrong, I started panicking.
Because you don't know how bad it's going to get.
Because you don't know how much worse it's going to get, right? And knowing that I had people around me to help me, I think the instance afterwards, knowing that it happened, my goal was to just try and I knew that I could, you know, get good enough to follow my friends from a technical point of view, kayaking and the skills that you needed, right? But you know, when that swim happened, you know, it all became about how prepared was I for that swim.
Yes.
And I wasn't at all.
Yeah.
You know, knowing how the water behaves, you know, you could get yourself into a situation where you could be able to calm yourself down, you know, and stuff like that. And I think that when it happened, I was kind of in a little bit of shock, I think. And then afterwards, I made a really, like, active effort to... I was saying this to Zach the other day, we all want to do this as long as we can.
Yeah, so that's the long-term goal.
Isn't it? You know, to what level is it kind of irrelevant? You know, I do like the risk side of it. I like the danger side of it as well. And I like that there is a risk of doing dangerous stuff.
And you're going with something, not against it. If you go against it, you're going to lose. It's quite nice.
Yeah. And
that's quite grounding.
I think so. I think that, like, it's helped... Not only has it helped me to deal with the situation, but it's helped me to make decisions.
Yeah. Learn from...
Yeah, in the immediate...
Events.
Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, like... You know, I contextualize it sometimes when I'm discussing this with my mates, because I think it's really important, and I discuss it with them, and I'm like, it's kind of like, you know, on the Morriston, you've got gun barrel on the lower.
Yep.
Is it really worth running gun barrel when the upper Morriston is as good as it is?
That's true.
I'm not saying that gun barrel is bad at all, and I've run it, and it's a really cool rapid. Yeah. But I've heard of people taking massive slams in there. Like my mate broke his shoulder in there, and he was out for 6 months. So,
that's true.
You know, when you're lapping the upper Morriston, is it really worth faffing around and fucking about just to run gun barrel?
That's very true.
You know, and like there are plenty of people who will probably say, "Well, you should want to run everything." Which
I think there's less people saying that now.
I think now
after recent events.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
I was speaking to Alex Littlechild a few weeks ago, and he really changed my perspective in the matter of a few sentences. Well, I think a lot of people have got they think, I'm not going to run this. It looks horrific. Yeah. Cool. Perfect. I'm going to walk this. It doesn't look good. It looks messy. I'm going to get hurt. But he started to question himself, why does he want to run this? It can be a small thing, it could be a big waterfall, it could be a wave. What am I going to get from surfing this wave?
How's it going to make you feel?
And I think that's good for bringing more of a positive atmosphere to it. Yeah. Rather than negative, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to get hurt. I don't want to do it.
I think that's like perfectly put.
And
I think he's really hit the nail on
Since he said
there.
that, I'm actively thinking it now. I'd never had any thought of, why do I want to do this little trick, splat this rock, go down this line? What am I going to get from it?
Yeah, is it really worth it as well?
Exactly.
It
really adds to the enjoyment.
Yeah, it does, yeah. And you should do the things that you want to do, sure. You should do the things that push you, that challenge you, because you need that
That's
edge
where
as well.
growth happens.
Yeah, but then at the same time, it's, you know, what do you want to do with it? You know, because there's joy to be had paddling class 3.
100%. Yeah, class joy.
Yeah, innit?
With your friends.
Yeah.
Slice your boats.
Innit? We all know that there's fuck all else going on in the UK right now.
That is very true. And we are making it work.
We are, yeah.
Or booking plane tickets.
Yeah. I want to book a plane ticket.
I know.
I'm waiting to book a plane ticket.
Yeah. Do you want to chat about that? Leaving the country for a bit of work?
Maybe so.
Yeah, do you want to have a little chat about that?
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Exciting,
yeah.
So what's your plan?
Hopefully go Canada.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bit of rafting work?
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Eh?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those I'd never heard of the Ottawa, but you know, after looking at it, and I was like, I think I want to go. And again, a lot of it has been watching Bren's footage. You know, his video with the Keener kayak schools. You know, like. Doesn't that look like such a fucking awesome place to go?
Looks incredible.
Looks incredible. So, yeah, the idea is hopefully go out and do a season there, and then maybe go back next year and do the summer as well. But
that's so exciting.
Ain't it, mate? Well, we'll see. You know, a lot of it is wrapped up in the visa process. So it's just waiting. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, so, you know, but, you know, hopefully I'll book the flight soon.
Yeah.
Get out there. You know.
Nice.
Yeah. It'd be really cool, you know. It's like I think that's it. I think going from rafting in the UK, the natural thing to do was I heard about a lot of people who had done seasons in Norway.
Yeah.
So rafting in Norway is like class 4 rafting.
And that's good.
You know, it looks amazing. And
Looks
then
intense.
it does look intense. Yeah. There's again Nathan Garnett. Shout out to the Wizards.
I'm enjoying these shout-outs.
Yeah, mate.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, hey, it's the people around us who make us and influence our decisions, isn't it?
Showing off our friends, really.
In it. Bunch of fucking lunatics.
Yeah, some specimens.
And there's a photo of Nathan doing a bow of stern flip in a raft.
Really?
In Norway, yeah, it's fucking stout, mate. It's just this massive, you know, like crane effect, you know, all of these people just like out the back, just like holding on for dear life, you know.
That's
Mega flip, straight over, bow of stern, mate. Incredible, you know.
It's intense.
In it, yeah.
For a
Looks
big
good.
raft.
Looks good, yeah. But then just looking around, I was just applying for loads of different things, and I applied to Canada, and they were one of the first places to get back
Yeah.
to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll try if I can, and then yeah. So all we're doing now is waiting. It feels like the visa process takes so long. I had to go to London, go give my fingerprints and everything, you know, make sure you're not a criminal, all this nonsense, you know.
Yeah. Safety first.
In it, yeah. And then, hopefully go out in June. That's the plan.
Getting close.
It's getting very close. Yeah, it's getting very close. Still haven't heard anything yet, so it's promising.
Stressing you out.
Yeah, a little bit. But, you know, I think it's because I want to look forward to it.
Yeah.
I want to get excited to go, you know, but I'm just waiting for the visa.
A little bit more confirmation.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm still excited.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is going to be... I've never been in a playboat before.
Well, your necky's a playboat.
Is it though?
Yeah, 100%.
Is it though?
Your necky mission. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's going to be a killer on those waves
Mate,
up there.
I reckon it like carburetor, it's gonna just go straight to the moon. Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to be leaving Canada.
you know, it just looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. It's like big water style for the rafting as well. You know, you have to it's a completely different discipline when it's that high.
Yeah.
They're bigger rafts as well. They're like 20-foot rafts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some weight to move around that.
Yeah, I think it's mandatory in high water to have double guides as
front
well.
and back.
Front and back, yeah. I'll be on the front, mate. That sounds like an epic time, you know what I mean? I'll be a custody. I'll just go there and just be a customer if I have to.
Pay.
Just pay. I'm fine. I just want to go experience it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Will this be the first rafting abroad?
Yeah, potentially.
So you
yeah,
paddled abroad, but you've not
Yeah,
worked abroad.
yeah. Paddled abroad, but never rafted. I'd love to go back and raft on the Ganga though.
Yeah.
I would do a season as well. I would
Yeah.
genuinely get paid like £2.50 a day and just go and raft 100%. Yeah. You know, just let them cook my food for me. That's a good enough deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to get some stories and
Yeah, innit?
some good practice out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a cool place. But yeah, no. Hopefully go and mix it up with the big boys in Canada. There's like 20 UK guides out there this year.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, we
don't-
know a few of them. We're with a few.
Yeah, I guess we do. Yeah, I think I'm going with George Bright
Yeah.
again.
Shout
Shout out.
Get that man on the podcast.
Yeah, Aaron Fisher as well.
Yeah.
I think
I think he's out there at the minute.
he's already out there. I think.
You've seen some of the videos he's been in?
Mate, was he at Stakeout?
Yeah. He's paddling some pretty big deals boats as well at the minute.
Jeez, man, like it's ginormous, man.
He's a little shredder as well.
In it,
Like,
mate. In it. Yeah, you gotta watch out for the shorties, haven't you?
Wasn't massively what I meant when I said
Well,
that.
you said he was a little rip there. That's what
Yeah,
you
he
said.
said
Yeah. Nah. I don't mean anything by it, Aaron. He probably knows fucking Krav Maga or fucking kick my ass. Or
Maybe.
something.
Yeah, but he's mad. He's mad in a freestyle boat.
In
Put
it,
him in a big
yeah,
boat, and he just
yeah.
steps up.
I think a lot of it is my developed appreciation for freestyle.
Yeah.
Because I think coming from like downhill, I really enjoyed like watching videos of like steep creeking, you know?
Yes. I suppose it's quite natural.
Yeah, it kind of
Avoiding
feels similar.
Rocks rather than trees.
Yeah,
Following lines.
Yeah, exactly.
And losing height quite quickly.
Yeah. I'm sure Aaron would probably see the connection between like mountain biking and kayaking because, like, you know, he does a lot of the mountain biking as well now.
Yeah,
He does the guiding too, and it's like there's definitely a similarity there.
Some sort of flow state as well.
Yeah, and then like watching the freestyle, I guess I never really got it.
No.
You know? And like, you know, I think it's quite different in that regard. In that, you know, how in like different disciplines, you know, like each sport has like 2 disciplines basically. Kayaking, you have creeking, then you have freestyle.
That's true.
You know, and then like BMX, right? You have street and you have park. You know, skating, you have street, you have vert. You know,
That's
it's
true.
like it's like different disciplines.
Skiing,
skiing and snowboarding. You know, you have like there's like all these different disciplines to it. But freestyle always kind of like I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And then I started like paddling with like Zach, and you know he had like a jet or like whatever it was. What's the dagger one? A jitsu. He had a jitsu, you know, and he was like, you know, he was like, check this out. This is called the tricky woo. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You just invented that.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is a reverse helix. I was like, what? You might as well be speaking fucking Japanese to me. You know?
They've got some mad names.
They do, yeah. The lunar orbit.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a
I'm trying to learn right now.
Are you trying to learn it?
Yeah. Not having much luck.
No. I've heard people say that when they're stuck in a hole, if they can't surf out of it, they throw a helix, and it usually like flushes them out. I still don't know what you're talking about, but
so you know, if you're back surfing, like it's gonna suck you in.
Yeah.
If you're in a back surf, sometimes if you roll over, it grabs your stern, flips you forward, and pushes you up.
Wow.
Or you've just done a really good back.
Isn't it funny how I still don't know what you're talking about?
Do you not? No, okay.
So what you're saying is you just roll?
Well, if you're back surfing, this hole, if you roll over, you're going to be still back surfing, but upside down. Sometimes it sucks the tail in, and obviously that's going to plug you down.
Do you know, when you said it sucks your tail in, I immediately saw a picture of it in my head, and I was like, I understand it.
Yeah, you get it?
Yeah, all right, cool.
Sometimes it works.
How's that going? Sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Where do you reckon is the best feature in the UK to practice throwing helixes?
I'm not the person to ask this. On a wave, it's usually a wave trick.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like a bounce, and you do it all upside down.
You can't necessarily do it in like a hole.
Maybe. Again, I'm not a play boater.
But it's the different disciplines, eh?
It is, yeah. I'd say just a big wave, big solid, bouncy wave. You know, when they're rigid and you get the pop.
Yeah.
I imagine that.
Go flying through the air.
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah.
Falls, probably. If
Probably
you're
the
good
falls. Yeah.
Yeah. I quite like you asking me questions, mate. I haven't had a podcast like this before.
Well, this is kind of like, this is funny because I want to know more about you.
Do you?
Yeah, well, yeah, why not, innit? You know, it's just like, you know, you were like, yeah, let's just set up some microphones and just chat crap.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we do that anyway.
Yeah, now we're just recording
But
it.
now we're just recording it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when did you start paddling?
I started when I was 12, 11 or 12, just as a club boater. I didn't get serious till I had a driving licence.
Sweet.
17.
Well, that's like the natural progression.
That is where, it's pretty common.
I was 25.
Where you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
But I suppose having the obsession of another sport beforehand is quite easy to almost swap over.
Yeah.
Get obsessed, learn.
Yeah.
Got a flow state.
Yeah, the obsessive compulsive behaviour. Yeah. I was like, I'd like done a bunch of massive injuries biking, and then I broke my pelvis.
Really?
Yeah. I fell like 30 feet and like landed back on my bike and just like exploded.
That must be horrific, the pelvis.
Yeah, it was a pretty big one. Yeah, it was good fun. And afterwards, you know, I was rehabbing it, and I was like learning to walk again. And I was like, you know, I had big muscle imbalance, right? So I had this like limp and everything. And I was like, working through it, and then I'd always get back riding after every injury.
Yeah.
Soon as I was over it, I'd just get back on the bike, right?
Yeah.
And so I was riding again, and it was about that time that I started, getting into like rafting and that.
Yeah.
And then I, started kayaking, and then I started sitting down for a living.
Pretty
and
much,
then, realised that like water was a lot softer
Can be.
than dirt and concrete. And
Yeah.
It was just like, I genuinely feel like kayaking has probably aided in the rehabilitation of my last injury. Yeah, 100%.
Do you ever jump back on the bike?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good fun. Like, where I live is, there's a bike park there, Antis-Dyniog. It's an uplift centre. It was the first downhill mountain bike park with an uplift facility in Wales.
Wow.
That's not true. You had Cwmcarn down south.
Okay.
Yeah, Cwmcarn is down towards like Newport area, Merthyr Tydfil as well. So that was, but like this was a bike park. It was like purpose-built trails and everything, and so like that's down the road.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like Coed Brennan was the first purpose-built visitor centre for mountain biking in the UK, and that was in the woods I grew up in. Like I lived in just outside Dolgellau where the trail centre is. So I was just incidentally. It's the woodland for the Upper Maldach, which is
pretty good for kayaking.
In it, mate. So actually, I would walk up the woods with my family all the time, and so I walked over the Three Nasties like all the time. And like knowing what I know about kayaking now, I remember years ago I saw a group go down there, and there was a guy in dagger jitsu.
Really?
Yeah. And he went straight under the undercut on the final third nasty, and he disappeared.
Far right?
Yeah, and he like disappeared for like 10 seconds.
Bloody hell.
But
that's
at the end of it,
mad boat to take on the
in it, mate, in it. Knowing what I know now, I thought he was a pro as well. From what little I knew of whitewater kayaking, I was like, wow, he smashed that.
Downtime on him.
Yeah.
Cool.
In it. So yeah, it's man.
You've been around the water for a while.
Yeah, a little bit. I seem to remember as well a story from when we were really little, that we went to the Trerrin together as a family, and my brother went kayaking for the day.
Oh, really?
And I seem to remember the get off just below it. Is that NRA? I think it's NRA, is it?
The
wave. The wave at the bottom is NRA wave, and I have this picture of my brother swimming it.
Did he just go kayaking without kayaking before?
I think there was a kayaking club.
Wow.
And he just I think we were in a swim club, and so I think my parents had heard about the kayaking club, and
they ended up swimming
down NRA.
Wow. I was about to say it's a mad place to start kayaking, but that's exactly where you've started kayaking.
I guess
it runs in the family,
innit? Yeah. No, man, he was fine, mate. That's funny. I remember doing my first lap, and Nathan was like, "This is great. You've done the upper section. Now you should go and do the lower." And Matt Stevenson burst out laughing. And then he said, "I've never heard anybody say, you smashed that class 3. You know what you're ready for? Class 2."
Yeah. You found the lower quite boring.
Lower's really good on a 16 release, though.
Is it?
Yeah, when it's bigger. Yeah.
What's it?
It's loads better.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's the upper like on the 16? I've never seen it.
It goes from 3 to 4 instantly.
Yeah.
But a Cafe Wave is a monster.
Is it deep?
It's fucking, mate, it's just a massive green wave.
So bigger blunts.
Massive green wave with the foam pit is just like so ugly.
Really?
It's awful, man.
So stay far away from that.
Yeah. And you're going so fast, and like you'll deck it, you'll cap, and then you're right up against the wall instantly. It's quite hard to get back in there. Yeah. It's really hard.
What do the little eddies on the surface right?
No,
not a thing.
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's just all about the cafe at that point, So
what's ski slope like?
Oh Mate, massive hole. It's fucking...
Yeah?
Yeah, mate. Like, what? It's like, it's really odd at that level, like, you know, the drop into the hole just, like, reduces, and the hole turns into a massive foam pile. It gets really tall as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It, like...
It doesn't wash out?
No, it, like, triples in size. Yeah, man. And, like, yeah, I remember rafting it, and they were like, oh, yeah, it's on a 16, we're not running it with, like, clients. So we were like, yeah, okay, we'll just go out and we'll do it. And, yeah, man, like...
But that flips a raft.
Yeah, I reckon so. We paddled into it, and we got, like, what I guess it's like a pop out for a raft. You know, but it was huge. You know, it was, yeah. It easily goes from 3 to 4.
Yeah.
100%.
Wow.
Graveyard is sick.
I bet it's a flowy.
Yeah.
None of those fuck you rocks.
Yeah, it's like you know how like steep the Glasling gets.
That's probably a good comparison.
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah, it's like the Breaker, but for like the entire of Graveyard is like the Breaker, I guess, over and over again. Yeah.
I'd like to get on a 16 now.
Yeah, and it's like terrifying in a raft as well.
Yeah.
Do you know Magnetic Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Magnetic Rock, right? There's like, it's kind of like a massive wave going into it at 16.
Really?
So you go in, you just float down the wave, and bro, like I had this like massive stag group in my raft. They were units as well, the strongest group I've ever had, you know. And they were really going for it, and we washed over that, like drop with no speed, and we hit Magnetic completely sideways, and the raft just stopped in its tracks.
Really?
Yeah. And then bumped up against it again, and we nearly like power flipped everybody out, you know, and it was like, it's savage. There's so much water going down it, it's all heading towards Magnetic. Yeah.
Cool.
Savage, yeah.
Bloody hell, man.
It's just, it doesn't release 16 often.
No, I've not.
You know.
It's not done it when I've been around.
No. I've done it once. I've done it once at 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was in all day though, so, you know.
Joy laps.
Yeah. Good day for it. Yeah. Everything's just so much bigger. Yeah. It's good fun.
I'll have to get on that with you, mate.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Back from your travels.
Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see.
If you come back.
It'd be cool, man. It'd be cool. There's actually, again, like, really small world. You know, the connections you meet, you know, you have with people, and how you see people again down the road, right? Yeah. So, like, I was kayaking in Ecuador, and I met this guy named Silky D. Shout out, Silky D. Another big shout out.
That's a big shout out.
A big shout out for Silky D, you know, and, you know, he was, we spent some like time together, kayaked a little bit together, and I heard that he was like this amazing boater from Canada. He's like, I work out in Canada loads, I just work out there and then I go kayaking and whatever. We were meant to run this river, I forget the name of the river, but like it was called the River of 1,000 Waterfalls. And so there were just all these waterfalls that would pour out of the canyon either side, and we were unloading the boats, and I dropped the boat on me and I hurt my back. Like, popped it there, and then I was like, I think I'm going to stay here, you know. And Silky D gave me this book, and it's called Monsters of God.
Okay.
And it explores the relationship, the distorted relationship that society has with man-eating predators. And the pollution of that idea of that they're actually out to get us, you know, and it's explores the relationship between, you know, men and like the Bengali tiger and the polar bear and the croc and the alligator and everything like this, right? And he gave me this book and he was like, there you go, read that. And I was like, cool. And I was like, I'll get it back to you. And he's like, no, keep it. You have that. And it was a really nice thing. Yeah, you know, for a stranger to do. And then, you know, I applied for the job in Ottawa, and then I hear that he also works on the Ottawa.
Really?
In it, so like, you know, I'm gonna rock up, and I'm gonna give him his book back. And,
that's quite cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? You know, small world.
That is. It's a small community.
It is.
It's a big community that feels small.
Yeah.
Everyone has a relation to everyone.
Yeah. It seems like a really personable sport. Yeah. Everybody makes connections. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
You're hanging around some pretty big deals quite regularly.
In it? Yeah.
It's...
Yeah, you find your tribe.
Yeah. Exactly. That's part of the podcast, right? Just show off your mates and be like, look at Rhys, he does some
Just
cool stuff.
chat shit.
Exactly. I've really enjoyed it, mate.
Yeah, mate, so have I.
Yeah. This has been the longest we've done as well.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, mate, we go on all night.
What a blast.
You and me are working tomorrow.
Yeah, to be fair.
I'll set up a hammock as well for
Fair.
you to go to bed.
Yeah,
So
innit?
I'm just going to end on our quick fire questions.
Go.
The little...
Yes. 100%.
And I've
Only once.
because I've written these down. This is the prep we do now. This is the standard we work at. So first question is go-to snack. I do river snack because I'm a kayaker. I imagine that's going to be a river snack. What are we talking?
I mean, I'd love to say empanadas.
Yeah.
Love to say empanadas, yeah.
Does that travel well?
No.
No.
No. Well, it's just baked bread full of meat in your watershed. It's not ideal.
No.
But it works. It works.
That's a
You can
pretty
keep
solid
it
answer.
semi-clean. Yeah. Empanadas.
Yeah, empanadas, we keep that. Prettiest place?
Rio Hoji, Ecuador.
Yeah. Is this the cave one? If you got a picture, send that to me and we'll put it in because it is so impressive.
Yeah.
That one Brendan got.
100%.
Yeah,
that's
that is so
that's
good.
one of the coolest photos of anything I've ever seen.
It is
And it's
sick,
not
isn't it?
because I'm in it. I am in it.
We might actually tag that video in the YouTube.
You should tag that
because
video.
that's a stunning video.
I watch it all the time. Takes
Yeah.
me back, man.
Yeah.
Probably like the greatest overnighter I've ever done.
Were you in the cave?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man. Like we ran that section twice. You know,
Wow.
we did 2 trips on it. You can run it as a day trip, but it's probably like 10 hours of paddling. It's a long way.
Wow.
Or you could do the top section, do the hard bit, jungle camp, and then do the big water section. Yeah. And so we just jungle camp. We actually stayed on a steel bridge. It's like a steel walkway bridge.
Oh, was this the hammock story
in
you're
the
telling me
middle of the
about?
jungle. Yeah, with the hammocks and shit. So yeah, like we could bushwhack and make camp in the jungle, and I would still do that, but it's just there. It's right there.
So there's less animals to worry about.
Less animals to worry about. Yeah.
That leads me on to my next question. Worst injury? I imagine that's the mountain bike one.
Yeah. I think. Well, I've fucked myself a lot, so I'll do top 3.
Top 3.
Do top 3.
What
so,
we starting at number 3?
Yeah, we'll go from like not too bad to most severe.
Yep.
So, yeah, cracked skull, bleed on the brain, I reckon, is number 3.
That's the not too bad one.
Yeah. Well, that one, I walked right out of the hospital like the next day. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, cracked skull, bleed on the brain, number 3.
What's the recovery on that? How long's that be away?
I mean, yeah, basically you get like concussion symptoms, you know.
Does the crack heal? Was that just waiting?
Yeah, that was an odd one because like I had this bleed on the brain and they were like, you know, this is really severe. We're gonna have to try and stop the bleed, which is, you know, brain
hard,
surgery.
yeah.
So it's like really serious and it could go wrong. And then the bleed just clotted.
Oh,
It just stopped bleeding.
wow.
And they were like, yeah, no, he's sound. There's nothing to worry about.
Wow.
You're like, okay, so what do we do? And it's like, just like let him sleep off.
Go easy.
Yeah, just go easy, sleep it off for a few days.
How did you get that one?
How old was I?
How did you get that one?
Oh, mountain biking. Mountain biking again, yeah. So all mountain biking, mate. All of these injuries have been mountain biking.
The ground is pretty solid.
Ground is pretty solid. So that's number 3. And then number 2 is probably, I ruptured my spleen as well. That was a good one.
So it's slowly getting worse.
Yeah.
Right.
And then number 1 is broken pelvis.
Yeah.
That was because it was like I was learning to walk for like a month.
Yeah, there's a long recovery to that.
A long recovery. Yeah. A lot of stretching.
Mate, it's like
Yeah. Push-ups, sit-ups, plenty of juice. That's how you fix that.
I love your optimism.
Innit, mate?
I've never seen you negative.
Well, you got to laugh.
Yeah, well, you start
Yeah,
crying.
well, you got, because, like, you know, I mean, if you're like me as well, sometimes you're a little bit like, you're hopelessly shit at things. So you've just got to stay strong, and the odds are you'll eventually make it.
Yeah. Throw enough shit out the wall.
Innit, mate? Yeah.
You know. Well, on a lighter note, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet. And then this is the controversial one. Is a Jaffa cake a cake or a biscuit?
It's a cake, but it's a fucking minging cake. But I do love it though.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it's a cake.
It's a cake. It's not a biscuit.
It says cake on it.
Who the fuck thinks it's a biscuit?
Danny Maguire.
Well, Danny. Listen, mate, get a grip.
Yeah, I thought you heard it, yeah.
Wise up, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be friends with you if you think it's a biscuit.
Oh, mate.
I can't be seen with these kinds of people.
Don't associate yourself with them.
No.
It has been incredible having you on it.
Yeah, man.
I've really enjoyed this chat.
I've enjoyed
I can chat to you
too.
all night.
Yeah. We should keep it going.
Yeah, I just need my beauty sleep for work
Yeah,
tomorrow.
well, that could take years. I'm so sorry.
Funniest man in
I'm
your
so sorry. I don't believe it, mate. I don't believe it. You're far better looking than me. Yeah.
I got the hair though. I got the hair.
Well, hey, I mean, that's one thing you can't have.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have it all. Can
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
I know you're not a big man on social media, but we will tag your socials down here.
I don't even think I can remember my socials.
The funny thing is, mate, you follow me,
Yeah.
and I've been requesting to follow you for years. And you've not accepted them.
Yeah, no, forget about it, mate. I don't care.
Too many on the list.
Innit, mate?
All the follow requests.
No. I follow everyone and I absorb everybody else's social media,
Yeah.
but I can't be asked.
No one can see you. You're a private man at heart.
Not even that. I just can't be fucked.
Oh. But is there anything else you want to plug? We'll put Brendan's video in because that's really cool. And you
Put
should all have a
Brendan's
watch
video
of that.
in. Brendan's done a few videos of Ecuador actually, so like any of those, they're all good fun to watch.
Send me some links.
Shout out to my friends.
Yeah.
In it, like anybody who fucking decided to hang out with me and teach me about kayaking.
Exactly.
It's been a blast, and I just want to spend as much time with all these amazing people as I can and learn stuff as well. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
Drive fast, take risk, keep
Right.
drinking.
All of the inspiration. Perfect.
Yeah. You can only run it blind once.
That is solid advice.
Bosh.